Miriam is a visionary, and she titles herself the visionary at the Black Excellence Global Movement. But her entrepreneurial journey is a very respectable one. She is the daughter of refugees who has used all of the resources available to found Muxima Bio. She will share in detail a little more about her roles, but it is worth all of us appreciating the fact that she has been inducted into the most influential people of African descent Hall of Fame and the Forbes 100 Women Founders. So welcome, Miriam.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this great initiative, Mark. And thank you. I start by apologizing for having only been able to log in the past 5 minutes, but I had a family emergency. My kids got ill. So, yes, thank you. Thank you. So I am Myriam Taylor. I live in Portugal. And as Mark has shared with you, my parents came to Portugal when in '76, because my grandfather was a liberation fighter and my mother followed him. So she was an activist back in Angola. And in '76, right after the independence, they were forced to flee because unfortunately the Portuguese didn't call for elections. There wasn't a transition period as such. So they just delivered the power to exactly the same party that is still ruling and has been a chaos, as you all probably know. A country full of corruption and so many other things. Obviously, we could talk about corruption in Africa, but that's for another forum. Yes, indeed. I was born in the same year my parents arrived to Portugal in '76. And because of our standpoint, where we have departed from, and the fact that I realized as I was growing that we were surrounded by so many injustices. And the way that our people have been treated has been very painful, even, for us back in the Algarve, where I was born and I grew up. We were almost the only Black family in that neighborhood. So we used to receive death threats and anonymous phone calls and letters. And I used to be scared to go to school by myself. So that has propelled me and because I am the daughter of my mother and I inherit not only my family's legacy, but also all the fighters that have been here with us before us. I decided to fight for what was right. And I never allowed anyone to tell me that this was not my place to be. And I went to London and I studied theater and I specialized in political theater because I wanted to create alternative narratives so urgently, because I understand that we are somehow trapped in this collective imaginary that has been designed by others and forced on us. And I understood that media is very powerful and stories are very powerful. So the urgency I felt at that time was to create alternative narratives and through that change the world. So I went to several countries and I lived in London, as I said, I lived in Paris, I lived in Angola, in Rio, in Barcelona, and always engaged in political theater in a perspective where you invite everyone to become a spectator. So a spectator, it's a spectator that is not only a spectator, it's a spectator who acts after observing and takes action and tries to change what is wrong. So this is basically my prophecy, or the prophecy I have been was not created by me, obviously, but the prophecy I have been following, trying to really inspire people to take action. So, and back in 2012, around 2012, after I gave birth, I became super scared. So I went through a process of, if you will, I was mentally ill, because I was not sure that I would bringing someone to this world, and the world was so wrong. How could I, you know? So I was super scared about that, and that has also made me dive into introspection, and I understood then. I had a catharsis and an epiphany. The epiphany was that perhaps, uh, let me put this into this perspective. Imagine that since we are born, we place ourselves around a huge swimming pool. And we learn with our family, peers, friends, everyone, with society, with what the television tells you to do and what the newspapers are saying, that you should throw papers at the pool. And we keep on throwing papers at the pool until we start developing critical thinking. And then when you start developing critical thinking, you question your actions and your grounded thought, and you question everything you do, right? And am I doing this right? Were not there other possibilities? And then you have two choices. You either keep on throwing the papers at the pool, or you stop your action because you understand that this is profoundly wrong. So I was one of the people who actually stopped, but I not only stopped, like there are so many others that not only stop, but they become engaged in changing the narrative of throwing papers at the pool. And you can either jump inside the pool and start cleaning the pool, or and working directly with the problems, with the existing problem, which is we cannot all use the pool and swim because the pool is completely dirty. Or you can lobby around the pool and inform people that what they are doing is wrong, and try to inspire them to stop that action. The problem is that I was in many countries, it's true, but doing minding my this business, which was trying to change the narrative in Brazil, in Angola, in Paris, and but then I was with a small group of people, and the impact we were having was almost none. Why? Because you have a huge community, which is a lot larger, doing exactly the opposite. And I didn't know Mark, and I didn't know many of the brothers Uzoma and Mara, and many of the brothers that were out there doing exactly the same, either lobbying or working directly with the problem inside the pool. So the epiphany I had was exactly that. We need to create a network, and a powerful network that works with strategy, because even for cleaning, you need strategy. You don't start cleaning from the middle of the room. You need to create first gather a group of people that will start in one little corner, influencing and cleaning and creating a barrier so that the water behind doesn't get dirty anymore. So this is what I have been trying to do for the past 7 years. Paulo and I, my partner in crime, Paulo, he's also Angolan. Uh, we have created Mushima. Mushima means heart in Kimbundo, in Angolan language. We have created Mushima back in Holland. This was 7 years ago. And Mushima has three main curatorial subjects: self-determination and identity, Black representation and women representation. And we work on an intersectional fashion, tapping in different spheres. So we work on science. On science, we are a biotech company, and we also a cosmetic company. This is a startup, yeah, but I consider it still a startup. But we have partnered here in Portugal now with, not now, like 6 years ago with Aveiro University. And we have uh, sponsored a few master degrees of resilient students who have low income to do researches on the biotech side. And we have launched the Mushima caviar system, which is a hair care line for our beautiful crowns. And then on the political sphere, we work as activists and we work as lobbyists. We not only lobby with governments and companies, but we also organize demonstrations. So we are in the two fronts. In the government, we have created to work or to lobby towards government and non-governmental institutions. We have created the anti-racist task force, which has not only Black individuals, but also the white allies, because we ask them to start doing their job. You know, if we were not the ones creating the problem cannot be dismantled by us, merely because we don't have the power to dismantle racism. Yeah. As we all understand, racism, it's a structure of power. So it's we can collaborate on trying to decolonize minds and to inspire the white people to be doing the job. Obviously, we need to be there to make sure that everything will come out the way we perceive it should come out, but it should be the white people doing it. And also because I understood that when I take one of our colleagues is the founder of the Transparency International. He's an anti-corruption fighter or activist. When he talks, the white people listen. When I talk, I sound too angry. So we need to take this into our advantage and bring more allies to the table and ask them to do the job. We tell them what they should be doing, but they should work, engage on these subjects with us. Having said this, so I mentioned science, politics, education. We also have produced colloquiums in the past. We are rebranding the last, the first colloquium we produced was in partnership with Nova University in Lisbon, and was about a genocide that took place in Angola and has been silenced by the Portuguese, and no one talked about it. And so it was the very first time that we brought that subject to light. And we start losing the fear to talk about it. And it was very important, and it took place in 2017. 2019, we organized what we are rebranding now to the Humanities Summit. The Humanities Summit's first edition at that time had a different name, was We on Empowerment, Diversity and Social Inclusion. And it had approximately 100 speakers, was for 3 days, was not virtual then because it was prior to the pandemic, and this is completely new era. But it was for 3 days. We had around 400 attendants, and we divided it into 3 separate subjects for each day. But what I think it was interesting also, apart from all the speeches, was that we have created a group which we call the co-creation of the civil society. So we brought activists, academics to think about existing social problems, And in a social hackathon type of thing, we have cracked solutions for the existing social problems. And since then, we have been presenting these solutions not only to our Portuguese government, but also trying to force the boundaries inside the corporate world. And this is, I think, something that was very, very useful that we did. This year, this year, in 2022, we will have the next edition of the Humanities Summit, and I hope to see you all there. I'll be more than happy. Okay, apart from the educational sphere, we also work on media. We have created also a media company, which is Mushima still, and we create TV content. The first TV show was during the pandemic, was in 2019. We created the Black Excellence Talk series. And the Black Excellence Talk series started because the Black Excellence Global Movement started in 2019. The Black Excellence Global Movement started because I've been attending to the Web Summit. I don't know if you all heard of Web Summit. It's one of the biggest tech events in the world, and it takes place in Lisbon. So in 2000, I've been going for the past 5 years or so. And in 2019, I went there with a totally different purpose. I didn't go to watch one of the speakers or to listen, but to find people that look like us. And to my surprise, I knew that the problem was already huge, but I didn't know the magnitude of the problem. In 71,000 attendants, we estimate that only approximately 100 people were Black. And we're talking about the tech space. As we all know, we know what this means, right? We know that we are already being victims of the algorithm. But what we need to understand is that we live in an era or in a time where right now we are programming the machines that will be programming other machines. So this really, really worries me. And then again, although I don't come from the tech background, but I'm married to a IT engineer, it's true, and he's one of the very, very few tech entrepreneurs from African descent I mean, successful tech entrepreneurs from African descent in Europe. He created a company that was then sold to booking.com. Back in the days, he had something like 350 million users. He was like, for sure, the first, unfortunately, the first succeed Black entrepreneurs in Holland and Portugal. But then again, inspired by the fact that I have been a spectator all my life, someone who becomes engaged in trying to change narratives and trying to change, disrupt the status quo, and understanding, the problem that we are already living through the algorithm and the effects that this can have on in the future. As I was trying to explain earlier, we are now programming the machines that will be programming other machines. So if these machines we are programming are programmed with biases, this will be extrapolated, augmented, and will become totally unbearable. And knowing that we are already being killed by the algorithm. So I had to do something. And this was what I did. I went to the Web Summit. I invited everyone to dinner. And it was magic. We had 60 Black entrepreneurs from all around the world. We had 20 different nations represented. And we all became co-founders of the Black Excellence Movement. The Black Excellence Movement, if you will, it's like Black Lives Matter. We don't register. I'm sure White will appropriate himself of that one day and try to register it. But the truth is that it's supposed to be an organic movement, and you are all more than welcome to be part of the Black Excellence and start your own Black Excellence circles. And what we do there, the compromise we did was that we all would become ministers and prophets of the same mindset, contributing for our unity, because that's key. That's key. I understand that we are dispersed and they have done the job so well. We are fighting each other and they're getting rich, you know? So the idea is to preach for unity, to preach for Black consciousness, and to preach for Black empowerment, financial literacy. So if we are all a successful people, as we were in that room at that day, with access to money and to a certain extent power, we have the obligation to leverage the rest of the community and creating moments of physical networking and or virtual where we can inspire others to follow the same path or finding their own path, but inside the same mindset. It's important, it's crucial to consume Black, to consume from Black-owned services, from Black-owned producers. But the majority of us, we don't even know each other in the same city. Sometimes we have problems from one community to the other, like fighting each other. And then you have many other problems that they have created, like the colorism and so many others. Those are all distractions from not allowing us to evolve and to be empowered. Is anyone sending me here a message? Sorry, just no. If you want to intervene, Mark, you are free. My style is very freestyle, I'm sorry. So basically, the goal of the Black Excellence was to preach towards this. And then we created the first networking event, physical networking event, as I said to you here, right after the Web Summit here in Lisbon in 2019, in November. In December 2019, we had another meeting in London, and I'm sorry, I didn't know you, Mark, but it was also equally amazing. And then 2020, which was already the pandemic year, we had our another meeting in Sao Paulo, and then there was the confinement. So we moved to the online. We started doing this, what we are doing right here. These were Zoom conversations where we spoke about several subjects, about structural racism, Black mental health, Black finance, you name it, many subjects, and they were all so interesting. And since the TV production in Portugal, at least, had stopped because of the pandemic, they had a lack of content. So I called the director and I told her, listen, we have done this because one of the meetings I have recorded in this format. Do you think we can stream it? And she liked the format, so she bought the format, and we made our first TV series like this. It was the Black Excellence Talk series, and we created several conversations about the lack of representation in politics, about police brutality, you know, all the subjects that matter to our community. So we were able to have a space for the very first time at least in Portugal, in a state-owned TV channel, to talk about the type of subjects that were really important to our community. They gave us that space. Um, so we did that first show, and I was not occupying the space alone. So I was not the only moderator. I've moderated like 4 out of 6 in the first series. In the second series, I only moderated 1. So the idea, it's also because I understand that if I am in a place of privilege, I want to create and more access to others. And so in this last season, we were very, very privileged to have 6 different moderators from different parts of the world, because Zoom allows us to do so. So we had the second season this year. And I'm also, we just delivered a second different TV show, which is named Not So Secret Dinner. And this will go to a different TV channel, not the same TV channel we had the Black Excellence series. And this, it's a show about unconscious bias. Each program, it's about a different bias. And just to give you a little brief about the format, in the beginning, we have sort of a social experiment where we expose the biases people have. So half of our team were Black. So we had to hide. So we wouldn't influence the response or the answer from our interviewed, from the person we interviewed. We mainly interviewed white people because they are the ones who have the biases, or not only them, but we wanted so badly to expose those biases so that, you know, who sees the show understands why we see the world the way we see, and why we need so urgently to take to adopt positive affirmations and have different behaviors at work, in life, everywhere. So we had a season of 6 episodes of the Not So Secret Dinner, which starts, as I explained, with a social experiment where we expose the bias. Then the person who is being interviewed on the spotlight is surprised by the person in the voice of the bias, who is the victim. And then they go off for a conversation. This person tries to decolonize the other person's mind, and they not become necessarily friends, but usually our subject of experiment becomes more aware and creates empathy, because many times it's the lack of empathy that the fact that people don't know about the other, that they become so afraid of the other. So so this show, it's brings subjects about trans people, Roma people, and obviously racism. It's the last one of the episodes. So having said that, so we also invest and produce for media. Our idea is to extend it to also other areas like film, and because we need to create, as I said in the beginning, alternative narratives, and because we are in a place where we can actually do it, that's why we do it. We do our part. So apart from media, we also curate exhibitions, art exhibitions, where we give visibility to our brothers and sisters and to people who are aligned with our values as a company, and trying to highlight people that wouldn't usually have access to a gallery space, giving them that space and the treatment they deserve as artists. And also because I understood that even uh, even when Black artists get some visibility, it's always under a white curation. So yes, we may see some Black artists at Tate, but you don't see many Black curators or almost none. Just as we don't see Black coaches, although we are super, as a Black community, we are proud to always have had so many sports persons with medals, but we are not invited to become coaches. This is another issue. We could also have another conversation about that. But so the goal here at Mushima is really to in one way to contribute for that unity that I think that we lack as a community as a whole, and to preach towards the consumption inside our community. And I don't know how much time do I have. Do I still have time? But
We're just about running out, so we
okay.
do have some questions as well.
Sorry, Mark.
I said we were just about running out,
Okay.
so, but we
So,
do have some questions. Are you
okay,
able to take
perfect.
them?
Perfect. Can you read the questions for me?
Yes, I can. All right. First up, we have, and thank you so much, by the way, for your time and for sharing. I think people are very inspired by what you've had to share. So really, really, it's great to have you here. So thank you. Alistair went ahead and asked, what have you found most effective for encouraging critical thinking, especially around these nuanced systemic issues among young people in Portugal or elsewhere?
What have I found most effective?
For encouraging critical thinking?
I think it's the new show. I'm seeking. I'm always seeking. You know, because it really depends the lenses you put on to see the issue. Because the white people have a different perspective because they have different experiences from us. Many of them they don't see the issues the way we see it. When you are asking what did I find most effective, was it inside our community or outside? Because we also need to create awareness inside our community, as you know. Do you refer to outside the community or inside the community?
Inside.
Because inside the community is the Black excellence, the Black excellence circles. This is why, yes, absolutely. Because if we gather on a regular basis, we are inspired by each other. And when you listen to others' perspectives on certain subjects and others who look like you, it's totally different than reading a book of someone who doesn't look like you, right? Or if you read from a book of from someone who looks like you, it's also good. But what I found most effective were no doubt the sessions we did at our Mushima gallery. Yes.
Thank you for that. We have one more question. That's from Nigel. What does Miriam think is key to changing our consumer spending patterns?
It's to understand that consumption is power, and I don't think we know that. I don't think we know how powerful we are on that, because consumption is power. We always complaining, and we still buy from the brands that we complain about. Even when we get more money, as we, you know, become more wealthy, sometimes people do make huge mistakes to buying a BMW, not knowing the story behind, or to buy Hugo Boss, you know, or Chanel. Those are all brands that are connected to the place where we are now, and that have been making money just, yeah, consumption is power.